Oh, I've done it again. Turn that thing off. What have I done? There he goes. There they are. How's everyone doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. It's been a while since I made that starting soon banner mistake. I think it happened the last time I did a stream. How you guys doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. This is your Sunday night 9 p.m. session. It is Tottenham Takes. We've got a lot to get through. We've got to catch up on what happened against the Forest. We've got to talk a little bit about discipline. Is there a problem? Is it part and parcel of the system? Is there a player issue? Is it a coaching thing? Is there no issue at all? Do we just shake hands with it? We've got all that to discuss. Plus, we've got Ange Postecoglou's Santa Claus wish list. And we have Everton coming up before we meet again next Sunday. So we've got a lot to get through, guys. I don't know who's banging their table or something going on in the background, but we got with us. There's no Henry Wright today. He's away doing things that Henry Wrights do on a Sunday night. But we do have three absolute magnificent guests with us. We've got Dave from the Irish Hotspur. We've got George from Do-Rag Diaries. And we've got Deji from Deji Spurs. What's happening? I'll start with you, Dave. How are you, my man?
Yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing, Sean. You know, when Tottenham win, it makes my week. So, onwards and upwards till the next game, Christmas time as well. Great time to be alive, my man.
Mate, I was just talking to you backstage, and I know how much you like Christmas. It's not really something that I get, like, I'm not that too fussed about it. But as soon as I said Ange Postecoglou's wish list for Santa, you had this little beaming smile came across your face. Do you write wish lists to Santa Claus? Do you still do that sort of thing?
Oh, I do, lad. I try and keep as many traditions as a child as I can, lad. Never grow out of it. I email the letters to myself every year.
Nice, yeah, and the bank manager just to make sure there's no problem with the affordability. Sounds good. George, welcome back, mate. How's everything with you, buddy? You good?
Yeah, no, everything's been good, man. Just like Dave said, after a win, back-to-back wins, you can say, I'm feeling back to my usual self. You know, after a couple of weeks, I was feeling down. I didn't even get a haircut after we lost. I was just like down in the dumps. I was like, you know what? Once we've been winning, I need to look fresh again. It's just nice. I'm feeling the energy back, and like Dave said, it's Christmas time. It's coming, so you can't complain to be a Spurs fan right now. Things are looking better.
100%, mate. Fair to see. You always look fresh. I'm sure you could go like a month without a haircut or 2 months. And still but I'm sure
I got 2 days. I got 2 days. I look like I haven't showered.
Deji, mate, welcome back to the channel, buddy. How you doing? Are you like the other two? Are you in sort of joyful, festive spirits, or coming with a different?
Yeah, I am, man, and more ways than one. Big up to the panel. Big up to everyone in the chat. You know me. For me, Christmas period is always my favorite time of the year. It's a time where personally I get to take my foot off the gas and try and unwind and see family and friends. But also, this is where we get to watch football, and I am delighted to be back in this space. You could have had this show at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning. I would have been on the show, mate. It didn't matter where or when I was going to be on today, because my club, Tottenham Hotspur, is back. You know, for me, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I spend my time just fighting for my club and fighting for respect. And after the result on Friday, we now know that this season is a 5-horse race. And that's all I care about. As long as Tottenham, I don't give a damn if I would love us to win, but the fact that we can say that Tottenham Hotspur is mathematically involved in what is going on at the top of the table, that fills me with joy. So I'm a very happy bunny right now, and I'm looking forward to, looking forward to the Christmas run. I would have probably had a bit more chest had it not been for that sending off for Basuma and your doggy being sanctioned. But we're going to talk about that later in the show, I'm sure.
We are, mate. We are indeed. Just before I want to say hello to everyone in the chat. Before I do, mate, is that scarf because you've cost of living crisis? You haven't got the energy bill. You want to keep the cost down, or is that a fashion statement because it looks spectacular? Is it form or function? What are we doing here,
mate? It's more form, actually, mate. The room I'm in.
He's on top form right now. If you know what scarf that is, that's so easy. He's feeling extra nice tonight. I'm
feeling extra good. But also, it's absolutely cold in the room that I'm in right now. So.
Hang about. What those? Is that a Louis Vuitton scarf? Is that what I'm looking at?
I'm afraid to say.
Yes.
Very nice too. Don't mind if I do. I like that, mate. I might go get myself one. I'm not sure I'll be able to pull it off quite as well, but it looks very good. Very, very good. Right, let me just quickly say hello to everyone in the chat. Shout out first and foremost to Perchie from Football Heritage TV for doing the redirect, mate. Great show. I was keeping an eye on it in the background. Really good to see you guys. I'm going to shout out because we've got so much to talk about. I'm not going to say to everyone. I'll say hello to the members of the show, Spurs GC TV. Great to see you. Blaine Devlin always here, mate. Great to see you, buddy. I hope you're doing really well. Stradders is in the house. What's crack-a-lacking? We got a membership for 2 months from Spurs GC TV saying, not sure it's a disciplinary problem. We play high press. You know what? I'm going to come back to that. When we talk about it, we will talk about it. Who else we got in the KM from the membership? Patrick, are you in chat? Told you, Liverpool, man. Your game was going to end in the draw. Liverpool and Arsenal aren't on anything this season. If we can get into touching distance, this is our year. I'm guessing KM is a Tottenham fan. Must be. He's a member of the show. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you, buddy. We got Stradders as well. We got KM. We got Drew Zilla's in the house, of course. How you doing, Drew? Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Everybody else, love you all to be here. Thanks for coming on. Make sure you take your shoes off as you come in. Smash the like button. You know, it's very simple to do. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Plus, the links for these boys' channels is in the description. And if they're not currently, I think they should be. If they're not, I would have put it in right now. So make sure you get over there and smash their subscribes too. It's only fair, and keep everyone in the festive spirit. Just before we get into it, guys, just want to take a quick little look at the Premier League table after an interesting weekend of football. One that I guess you could say suits Arsenal and Villa and Tottenham. Liverpool dropping points. Manchester City dropping points again. I mean, look, we're going to talk about the Nottingham Forest game broadly. But before I do, I just want to get everyone's takes on where we're kind of at. Dave, I'll start with you, mate. Would you have taken, after 17 games, being 1 point behind treble winners, going for the four-peat Manchester City? But at the same time, would you have taken being 3 points behind Aston Villa if you were asked at the start of the season? It's a very odd shaped up table right now. How do you feel about it generally?
No, look, I would have absolutely snapped your hand off. Look, I didn't really have too much hope going into the season, despite me really, liking Ange Postecoglou as a manager and knowing what he was all about. I just think we'd probably, sort of struggle. We sold our best striker, just the day before the season starts. We didn't get everything we needed in the summer transfer window. And I just thought there would have been a bit of sort of bedding in period, and we would have came strong maybe from this period on till the end of the season. However, the start we got off to has completely surprised me and completely shocked me, and I'm here for it. All here for it. And I predict the second half of the season is going to be even stronger than the first.
Stronger second half, Deji, starts with, well, doesn't start with necessarily, but you'd hope it would be helped by a little bit of support from our injured players. We're going to talk about discipline later on, but the injured players. And there is some news out this week that Maddison is back in full first team training. He's not ready yet. Van der Ven is back in first team training. Van der Ven is back apparently after the Burnley game. Maddison slightly behind him, a week or two behind. Is that the catalyst that Tottenham need to get us through this last few games before the end of the year? Keep your eye on the prize. Don't get sloppy. Keep us in a healthy position. Then get these two back, and we can then kick on with a second wind.
100%, Sean. I mean, I did a show earlier this week called The Blueprint Episode 2, and I was talking about the next 3 games. And actually, I was very bullish because I actually said for the next 4 games, I was expecting Spurs to get 12 points. And that's prior to Basuma and Udogie kind of coming out of the team. What we got to do is hold on for their life. We've been calling on the squad. One thing I love about what Postecoglou's done, and maybe also because of the circumstances, is genuinely we've had to call on the whole squad. Everybody's had to be involved and get stuck in to put us where we are. And just imagine, sorry to just take it there for a sec, but had we not lost Van der Ven and Madders,
top league.
The only game that I thought we legitimately were the second best team was the Wolves game. I'm going to put my hand up, Wolf F1. We were second best in that game, and you deserve to get the 3 points. Everyone else, we slapped up. We could be top of the league, and I agree with the comment you read out earlier. Strangely, we've got everyone around us dropping points and not really sourcing the way they are meant to be sourcing. This potentially could be a season, or could have been the season, where Tottenham could have just taken the league by surprise. So big up Postecoglou and what he's doing. But if the boys can do the unthinkable and somehow take, so we've already got 3 points against Forest. If we can still get another 7 points in the next 3 games, then, mate, I think it's game on. Game on. Anyone saying at least getting involved and going for that top 4. But right about now, 84 or 83 points probably wins the league. And that's very doable. I'm just saying. It's just
it is so deadly. I love the optimism. I always do. And I try to be optimistic myself in a lot of these moments. I tell myself these things myself. But whenever I start saying them out loud, that's when they start sounding a bit funny. And that's where the problem is. No, I'm just being honest here, because the one thing I don't, especially this season, that I really don't like to do is, and I haven't done, is play the injury card. Because if we are being honest, guys, every team in that top 6 is pretty much losing 3 or 4, if not 5 or 6 players, and very much their most important players. Rodri has been missing for a number of games. Kevin De Bruyne hasn't been there for half the season. As to why City's not been at the levels, Haaland's been missing quite a few games. Like, you're seeing a lot of teams drop off due to them having injuries, just like us. And it's not hard to see, but I do agree, if we did have our players back, we'll definitely be on a level. But to go back to where Sean said, like, where we are in the table, I think we have to be happy. At the start of the season, we all sat here and a lot of us said is we want to see a project. We just want to see growth, and we were not going to put too much pressure on the guys to perform at a high level. But if we can see ourselves challenging for that top 4, we want to see us go for it. And right now, we're in and around those positions. We're doing exactly what we thought we would be doing. Yeah, we did have a bad run of games and we lost, 4 in a row. But without that run of 4 games, our season's been really, really good. And just like Deji highlighted, I think in all those games where we lost and we dropped points, only the Wolves was the only game where you looked at and you say, that was a worrying performance and I wasn't happy with the team at all. Every other game was like, we should have walked away with more goals. We should have walked away with more points. And the problem was ourselves. We couldn't finish our chances. But I'm happy with where we are on the table. Like you said, we're a few points away off the top of the top.
Only 6.
Only 6 points. We've got a few games coming up, like you say, that could be tough, and so have a lot of these teams coming up. So if we can look at, get past these next 3 games and stay within that 5-6 point gap, then we're in a very good position going into the new year, having our injured players coming back, honestly.
Well, next weekend is absolutely crucial. You have Liverpool and Arsenal play each other next weekend. We've got Everton at home. If we can win that and say that into the draw, Liverpool beat Arsenal, we're right back in that mix with all of our stronger players just around the corner, ready to come back. A January transfer window where, look, that could make or break our season. You know, how hard we attack it and what sort do we get the right business done. But, you know, any one of them top 5 teams can win the title. Any one of them. It's wide open.
Is it just those top 5 teams, Dave? Just quickly to come back to you there. Is it just top 5 on Newcastle? Is that gap? That's the gap now? Is it the 4 points is enough to separate the wheat from the chaff kind of thing?
Yeah.
I personally think Newcastle, you see them come back in the new year. Now they've got no European football. You're gonna see them like us have longer breaks. Players not be as fatigued, not as injured, and they haven't really got nothing to play for apart from the Premier League and going back for that top 4 in European positions. I'm not confident that they'll finish in the top 4, but I do think they're still going to be a very dangerous team throughout this league, and one that will take the fight down to the last couple of games.
Yeah, we've got some big games coming the end of the season. We've got a period where I think we've got City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. You know, it's up to us to get put points on the board routinely up until then. You know, even if we're just talking about top 4, so that we can secure that, because that's going to be a tricky run of fixtures there towards the end of the season. But we've got some favourable fixtures. Everton at home, Brighton away. I know a lot of people get apprehensive, but the reality is we bet them away down the last few years, and then Bournemouth as well to finish out the year. A good run. You just don't know where we could be by New Year's. But Man City aren't playing next weekend because they're off at that Club World Cup, so it's a chance. So, but if we win, we'll be in top 4 for Christmas, and then it's up to us then just to keep putting points on the board.
100%. And just before, go on, Dej.
I just wanted to say, just picking up on your point, George, actually, that, you know, the one thing that's really impressed me about Postecoglou and Spurs is the fact that we spent 4 years watching dusty football, and we've spent Gary Neville said probably we're the most exciting team in the league right now. I think we've played the best football in the Premier League so far this season. And I think for me, that's just been a pleasure. It's just been a joy and a pleasure to watch. And for me, you know, I had doubts about Postecoglou and his system and Onjbo and all of this, that I genuinely believe he's the right man for the job. But I actually think that Postecoglou takes us one step further than Pochettino.
Yeah.
You can just see it in the way that we're playing. Man, this guy has brought so many players out of the dead. Lascelles, so all of that. So for me, win, lose or draw, even from this point onwards, we know we got the right man at the helm, and we just need to give him time to cook. But he's already exceeded our expectations, and let the good times roll, in my opinion.
But with Big Ange, you have a little bit of I keep using the phrase, you have to take the bitter with the better, right? There's no such thing as a perfect system. If you're going to have a philosophy that is very much one-track minded, you're going to give up vulnerabilities. And when you have injuries to key areas of the place that is the most vulnerable, players like Mickey van der Ven, then obviously it puts a lot of pressure on players in front. And I want to kind of use this. I don't think we need to go over the Nottingham Forest game too much, but I do want to sort of talk about some of the performances in that game, and we'll start away from the discipline, then we'll move into it. Ben Davies, guys, this second game on the bounce for Ben Davies, he's been unbelievable. Newcastle, he kept us in the game at 0-0. Doesn't get that toe poke quite correct. We go 1-0 down. He was solid throughout the game. For me, could have been one of the man of the match contenders. Against Nottingham Forest, I also thought, I was at the game. I didn't get back until 3:30 in the morning. So it's difficult to see it from the same perspective as you guys might have seen it if you were at on the telly. But I think Ben Davies has really stepped up here. And I want to ask you guys, like, what's the motivation? What's the catalyst for him stepping up? Is it the words that Postecoglou said pre-match, that we are looking for another centre-back? He's made that much abundantly clear. He hasn't spoken too much about other things. So is Ben Davies playing? Is he stepping up because he's playing for his position? Is he just someone who sort of bleeds white and navy blue and wants to just put his best in? Is he playing for Ange? What is the kind of the rationale for Ben Davies to? He's always been a solid 7, kind of doesn't let you down too much, but last couple of games he's really kicked on, and I'm trying to figure out what's the rationale for it. I'll start with you on this one. Dave, we'll go around the clockwise. Go on.
Yeah, look, he was absolutely outstanding again, and fair play to him. That's 2 games on the trot now. But, and, I'm going to go back to it. He also cost us 2 games on the trot as well. But look, for me, I still think that the aim is to bring in a centre-back regardless of how good Ben Davies does. I think Ange Postecoglou sort of knows that maybe he isn't good enough to take us where we need to go to. I don't even think he's a good enough squad player. But look, he's put in 2 good shifts the last 2 games, but the season's 38 games long, so we'll see how he does. I think, look, he'll be here till the end of the season anyway, so we'll see if he keeps putting in them shifts, because he had 2 bad games and now he's had 2 good games, so he's still a bit up and down for me. I don't think he is that steady Eddie that everybody calls him. I think they're getting gassed up off the last 2 games when it comes to Ben Davies, but ultimately he's not good enough for where we want to go. We know this.
I couldn't agree more. Honestly, I was about to say the same. I was going to say, do you know what? Props to him for having 2 good games. And thank you very much. I'm not a person I will sit there and hate on someone and not recognize when they're doing good, whether or not I'm a fan of him or not. He's been very good the past 2 games, and especially against Forest. Very, very stellar performance. But I'm not going to be sold on him. I'm sorry. I'm still looking forward to January, looking forward to a new centre-back coming in, someone who is a bit more clean on the ball, a bit more tidy, someone who's a bit more of a quicker decision maker, because there's a lot of the times that he gets on the ball, and with Van der Ven, used to see him make these moves a lot quicker, make these passes quicker, and Davies slows down the game at times. And yeah, I'm just not the biggest fan of him. So look, props to him for having 2 good games, and I'm really proud of him, and it's been good for us. But am I going to rely on him in the next 3 games and be confident that he can replicate that? Not at all.
I think you guys are being a little bit harsh, I think Ben Davies has actually had, since he's come into the squad, I think he's done pretty well. I think the only poor game was the game against Wolves, and let's remember he was alongside Eric Dyer. Since then, we've gone to the Etihad with a back 4, which he was partnering with Emerson Royale. Come on, the circumstances that he's had to work in, and he's stepped up. And what we have in Ben Davies, or at least what we have in Postecoglou, is he's able to squeeze every last juice out of all of our players. And that's when you know you've got a top coach, because other coaches couldn't do much with Ben Davies, but he's stepped up. And you've got to remember, you're not going to have a Van de Ven sitting on the bench for too long at Spurs. Do you know what I mean? Like, of that kind of ilk, that kind of quality. Ben Davies is happy to sit on the bench and come in and do a job when needed. And actually,
but that's not the mentality that we need as
no, but when you're looking at the harmony of a team, you know you've got your starting 11 and you know you've got squad players. And managers always talk about the fact that it's the squad players that give them the most headache and the most stress. Ben Davies is not doing that. He's waiting, he's biding his time, and when he called upon, he's coming in and doing the job. I think
he knows he's not good enough. That's a player that
he's
knows
not good enough to be in our starting 11, but he's been good enough.
That's not a player, no, but that is the problem with Tottenham, with our team. You've got players on the bench that know they're not good enough to play for the starting 11, so they get complacent in the fact that they know that they're a bench player, so they play their role. When they come onto the pitch, they play the role of a bench player. They're not going to outperform their role, and that's not what we need. We want players on the bench that will be hungry to start. Players like Van de Ven, if they come into Tottenham, they're young. They come from a team like Wolfsburg. They will sit on the bench for 6 months. They will bide their time, and when they get their chance, try and prove themselves, to try and come on the pitch and make their moment. Just like you see the other day, I don't know if you guys saw, there was a clip of a Liverpool youngster that he scored the other day in the Europa League, and straight away he said, "You know what? Look, my condolences to Matip, but I'm here to take his spot." And that's the type of players that's what he said. I'm here to take his spot, and that's the type of that's the type of ambition and what you want from players on your bench. You want them to want to play.
No, I heard that. I totally agree. But what the question is: has Ben Davies has he done well? The thing is, given the circumstances we found ourselves in, he has stepped up. If Ben Davies had not stepped up, maybe we don't win the game against Newcastle. Maybe we don't win the game against Nottingham Forest. And we talk about football being about fine margins. He's come in and he's done a sturdy job. For me, what we don't have is a replacement for Romero. Emerson Royale cannot be the guy at the moment. And I'm so glad that January has come. So, but for me, I think Ben Davies has done a sterling job. And I think part of the reason why he's done the job is because we are always on the front foot. Hopefully, he doesn't defend too much. We were used to sitting back, letting people pepper us, and allowing our players to do doggies around the pitch without the ball. Now we've got more of the ball, more energy, playing a higher line, which means that defensively we can see a bigger picture. Plus, we've got the likes of Pape Sarr doing a great job in the midfield. All of these things count, my brothers. All of these things count. But to say Ben Davies hasn't done, it's just been 2 games, I think that's unfair. I think.
Well, it hasn't. It's not, though. It's the truth. It's the truth. This is the problem. When these average players come in and step up, because people want it to happen so bad, they overhype it. He's had more bad games this season than he's had good games, and that's how you weigh up, is a backup player good enough for this club? Do they have more good games than they have bad games? No, they don't. I remember games when Van de Ven, okay, he's playing at left back, but according to Postecoglou, that's where his natural position is. Van de Ven had to go out and cover him. That's not the sign of a good player, a competent player. And at the end of the day, he's had 2 good games, fair enough. But this is the problem with Ben Davies. He's also had a run of bad games before these couple of good games, and they've already cost us. And I agree with George. People go like, oh, we can't get someone to come and sit behind the bench, on Romero and Van de Ven. People forget that we bought Romero and Van de Ven here to prove a point. They weren't A-class centre-backs. Why can't you go? They only became really good at Tottenham. Why can't you go and get another one and bring competition in? That's what a hungry squad does. That's how you go on and win things, by bringing in competition, not settling for the same thing all the time when we're in grave danger of making the same mistake we do every single season.
Is he okay though? I don't know. So let's look at the teams around us that are actually in title races. Obviously, Manchester City are in a class of their own when they've got 5 or 6 just unbelievable players for any kind of position, and they also versatile. But Gomez at Liverpool, what is he? Is he 4th choice centre back?
Yeah.
Is he really? I mean, is Ben Davies that much worse than Gomez?
Davies?
You think he's better than Davies?
Better than Ben Davies.
Yeah, he's better than Davies.
I don't know. Don't know about that.
If he was playing for Wales, Ben Davies wouldn't be in the team.
All right. Listen, I mean, I've got a soft
I think
spot
he's
for
done
Ben
all right.
Davies.
I think he's done all right, mate.
The
I
thing-
really do.
I like Ben Davies. I think
where
he's
you guys question this, yeah, isn't there that stat where pretty much Ben Davies has started in all of our losses to those lower division teams in the cups, the likes of
away from home and
Middlesbrough,
that.
the
Yeah.
likes of Colchester, the likes of
But we don't
Dino
take those
Zagreb.
cups seriously.
No. It's what do you mean? So
As
we've
a
got
specific
players.
club,
You
we
want
wouldn't
players
take
like
them
Ben
seriously.
Davies. Wait, you want him to be a bench player, so part of our squad B that will have to play in certain cup competitions next season when we're playing like when we need a full squad. You want him to be a part of our squad where we don't take it seriously. That's just part of the like poor mentality that we have around the club. And me personally, I think we need to clear that out. When you have players like Ben Davies, who's been around the club for 9-10 years, he just bleeds that poor loser mentality. And whenever we lose these games, I look at the senior players, which is him, Eric Dyer. They're the players that have been around for too long, and they just need to move on. We generally, I feel like having Ben Davies around is only going to give us more problems in the future. And he's going to have these performances where he looks good again, and then he's going to go back to his same old self.
I don't know. Listen, I'm with Deji on this one. I think you guys are a little bit too harsh on him. But you know what? That's what makes a market. Everyone's got their own opinion. I think he'll be around for at least the end of the season. I got no problem if he stays on being fourth choice or whatever, being that squad player. I don't think we're going to get, two classy centre backs. Hopefully, we're going to get at least one classy one in January that can come in and be versatile and step up. But it is what it is. We'll find out. It's not our opinions that matter. It's Angie's. But do let us know in the comments. I think you already are, whose side you guys are on with the Davies thing. I want to move forward to another controversial player, guys. Someone that I put my my line in the sand on before the guy even joined the club. Even though I've always wanted him to do well, I haven't seen him do well apart from the last 2 games. And the amount of DMs I've had saying you are so wrong about Richie, and I've sent the same message back to every one of them. I'm right. I was right. I am right. I'm just not right now when it comes to Richarlison's form. But listen, he has put in 2 solid performances, but I don't know if this is this classy little hot patch, purple patch of Richarlison? Is it a sign of classes temporary? Or sorry, classes permanent, form is temporary. How long does form last before it becomes permanent? I don't know. Richarlison for me, I'm glad he's performing well, but he's not for me. I don't want him at Tottenham Hotspur. If we can get rid of him to Saudi, I'll take half the money we paid for him and move him on. But I want to get your guys' opinions on this one. Let's go reverse chronological on this one. Let's start with Deji and then move back around.
Well, since we started doing this stream, Sean, you already know my opinion on Richie. I've been saying that we need to give him time, let him cook under the circumstances, and he's starting to score goals. He's no Harry Kane, and he was never going to be Harry Kane. He was never going to be a Mo Salah or anything of that ilk. However, if he can get us 10 to 15 goals a season, he's okay, and he's better than what we've bought in the last 8 years. Because everyone we've bought, I don't know if they've got over 5 goals. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm talking about. But is he doing a job? He does. And the other thing that we got to remember, guys, and think about, and I'm starting to listen to Postecoglou a lot more, and maybe I've drank the Kool-Aid and he's swaying me a bit. It's not just what he does on the ball; it's what he does off the ball.
He's a great worker. He's a great worker off the ball.
For the Nottingham Forest game, those Nottingham Forest players were a bunch of barbarians. They came out like Aston Villa, like Spartacus, in the arena wanting to take off heads. And you need a Richarlison to get in and amongst them to ruffle some feathers. He did just that, and he got on the end of the cross and scored a header. He is another option if Spurs want to change their style of play. So am I happy with Richie? Yes, I am. Oh, were you happy when he scored? Yes, you did. And you were shaking your bum violently in that City ground when he got the head in for that 1-0 to put us in the lead just before half time. I say give him a chance. With Madders, with the players he's got around him, Kulusevski, Madders, Son, you've got to be royally shit if you can't get double figures in a team that has those sorts of players. So for me, he's up to 4 goals. Let him do his thing. I'm happy for him. And he's better than what we've had in the last 8 years. Can he be the main man? I say give him a little bit more time. But I'm happy with what he's done in the last 2 games.
Just
know?
Just quickly, George, before I bring you in, Stratters, I think I've had a bet with Henry. I think Henry said 12 to 15, but we didn't actually shake on the bet until after the goal was scored against Forest. So we've shifted it to 13 to 15. And I said I'll sell at 15. So I don't think he's getting anything like, if he gets 15 goals between now and the end of the season, like I'll eat, I'll do a forfeit. I'll do a forfeit, and I'll say I was temporarily still right, but maybe slightly wrong in the short term about Richie. But I don't fancy him. George, is he getting 15 goals?
No. Wow. If he does, I'd love for him to, but I think he's only got more than 10 goals once in the Premier League. So if he can even, for me, he'd be a success. From when we first signed him, I thought he was going to be really good. I actually thought he was going to work in the team. I thought for Conte he would work, and it went horribly wrong. And from when I saw him play so many games, it's like, look, we gotta give up with him. But now, I think if he can get to 10 goals this season, then it's all right. It's a good season for him. Like I'd keep him around to be on the bench and so on. But personally, this little purple patch that he's having, for me, I'm just hoping that it's bringing his price tag up for January, and a few clubs might want to put a bid in. Like they're seeing.
Oh, so you're with me on this one. You take it.
Yeah, no, I'm taking the money. Like I'm catching in whilst it's hot, because this is probably the like this is the highest we're gonna get some money from. If he can get a few goals in the next games, and then Saudi say, look, 40 million. I'm saying, take the 40 mil. Let's go invest that elsewhere, because that we're gonna need someone that's a bit more consistent, who can play football, who's actually a technical player, who can make a few passes.
Can I ask a question though? Sorry, Jules, to cut you. Can I ask a question? If Richarlison scores 15 goals, do we give him another season to see if he can kick on? Because 15 is a respectable.
I feel like even if he got 12 goals or 10, 11, like 11, 12 goals, I'd say, do you know what, Richie, you can have another season on the bench. Not first team. I would never trust him to be my first team striker. That probably that one there is a bit, that's like, we're doing a bit too much there. But if he can finish with 10, 11 goals, impacting from the bench, that's all right. He can be in and around the squad.
What would it take to see him start? Sorry, Dave and Jordan. I just want to know, what would it take? Because I'm starting to feel like there's this thing out on Richarlison. What would he need to score for you to be like, yep, he's our main
25.
man?
25.
Okay.
25 in all competitions.
We have to be honest here. He's not a good footballer. That's what it is. He's just not a good all-round footballer. Like, his all-round game doesn't really help the team play the way we need to play better. When he's on the pitch, you always feel like there's a player like less when you're on the ball, because there's a lot of times the ball gets kicked up to him. His first touch is horrible. Like, his first touch is so bad, and you can't rely on him to bring it down on his chest or even to his feet when the keeper's kicking it long. Sometimes we're trying to break on the counter attack. So for me, we need someone that's better on the ball. It's not even just about him scoring goals or not. But this season, he's been impressive.
You know what? I like Richie as a person. I like him as a man, right? You know, he's a bit of a shit house, works incredibly hard, even if things aren't going his own way. You know, I can admire that about a player to a certain degree. But look, has he done enough so far to warrant staying here and being Tottenham's main man next season? No, he hasn't. You know, do I think he has until the end of the season to try and be that guy? Yes. But do I ever see him being that guy long term? Being brutally honest, I don't. I think even if he hits 15 this season, I still want us to go out in the summer and bring in competition for him. I don't think we can rely on him over the course of a full season. I think he'll always blow hot and cold. It's just the sort of guy that he is. If life is going right, you'll see the best Richarlison on the pitch. If life isn't going so good, you'll see that affect his performances on the pitch. I think, look, he'd be a good guy to keep around as sort of a backup striker. But
he's never going to be happy playing backup, mate. He's filled with demons in his head. His confidence is dependent on a bunch of things. I don't think he needs to be somewhere where he's the main man.
Look,
and I don't think Tottenham is the right place for him.
What I will say is, you know, he did have that injury there in the pubic area or whatever you want to call it. And since he's come back from that injury, the last couple of games, he's everything he's done has been absolutely spot on. You know, everything we've asked him to do has been absolutely spot on in terms of first touch, passing, laying it off. And where he does have his merit is games like Forest, where you can put the balls into the box and let him go and attack them. That's what we can't do with Son in them sort of games. So he does have value to Tottenham Hotspur, but not as the main man. I do think he needs competition. And I think, look, you know, but like you're saying, like, you know, he might not want to be backup, but I think he would accept being, you know, as a squad player in terms of a team in the top four. I think 100%. You know, I think he knows himself he's got limitations, being brutally honest. But I do think I'd keep him around, but I want another striker to come in here and compete with him.
Yeah, no, I've got no problem with him staying as long as there's money available for the right striker. If the right striker is a Santiago Jimenez, and Ivan Toney, whatever, and it's going to cost £75 million, and that's available in January, I don't necessarily know if we're going to go and put that money down if we have access to that sort of, you know, not entirely. I believe that there's about a £70 million budget for January, but you need to go and do maybe 1 or 2 or even 3 potential purchases with that money. And so if you can liquidate and get 40 million quid for him, I think you can kind of write it off and kind of go, that's probably right, and let's go again. But like you say, if he wants to hang around and play third fiddle, if he really is behind his injury problems, if those things were really holding him back, but I just always find with him, for me personally, there's always like an interview with some Portuguese or Brazilian media outlet after a game where he scores a goal, where he's making excuses for why he wasn't great before, and now he's back to his best. And you know, I just if he goes through a dry patch again between now and the end of the season, is there going to be another excuse coming down the track? You know, is he going to, you know, broke up with his girlfriend, or is grandma passed away? Well, something, you know, like just some next kind of thing, which is the rationale why he's doing it, rather than just shaking hands with the fact that, you know what, bro, I'm not that level.
And that's one of the problems for me, that I don't like playing or having confidence players in my teams, players that need confidence to be able to perform to their abilities. They're not players that you sort of need in and around your squad. You want players that no matter what's going on in, like, on the day, they know how to just turn up. They know how to get in the zone. They don't have to be in the best of form, or like the manager doesn't need to be talking to them like being buddy.
Pedro Porro, right? Just an absolute beast.
Every game, like he's just so focused on performing for himself, making sure that he does the job for the team, and that's it. Like Richarlison, you can tell the difference in the game when he's frustrating himself. You can see him just kicking the floor, running around, just losing his head. And I get frustrated watching Richarlison just as much as he gets frustrated like playing himself. Like, it's very frustrating footballer to watch. So for me, it's like, even when we see him score those goals in the past 2 games, I was very happy. Wasn't there that chance against Aston Villa when he come on, like open header?
Open header. Yeah.
And so, like, that's what I mean. He's so frustrating because you see him finish these chances which you know he should put away, and then just 1 game before that he misses it and we drop points. So it's give and take with him, man.
That's why I think Tottenham can never rely on him as a main man. You'll always need 2 strikers with him around. And the thing is, you don't have to sell it to them as being backup to each other either. You just bring the ball in. You say, look, there's a striker spot open. Who wants it more? Who's hungrier? You know, it's called competition. If they can't accept competition, they're not the right player for the club anyway, because they're not the player that's going to take you to a title when they can't accept competition. If they want it all their way and they think they're just entitled to that spot, their mentality ain't good enough to take you where you need to go.
But I will say this though, as much as what we're saying about, you know me, I think Richarlison is not that bad. When you look at the top 6 and you look at their strikers, who is better apart from Man City? Let's not talk about City. Would you take Nketiah over Richarlison? Would you take Nicholas Jackson over Richarlison? Would you take? Do you know what I mean? Like, none of the big dogs have great strikers anyway.
Right, no, but you named Arsenal. Chelsea's not a big dog no more. We can.
Okay. Would you take Rashford? Would you take Rashford over Richarlison?
Again, Man United, a team that's below our level. You look at teams that are above our level. Okay, right now.
But yes, I would take Rashford over Richarlison.
I would take Ollie Watkins over Richarlison.
100%. You take Ollie Watkins. I'd take Callum Wilson. I'd take Isaac. I'd take Ollie Watkins. I'd take Mbeumo at Brentford. I'd take Jared Bowen at West Ham. I'd take. There's loads of players that I would take above, and you haven't got to just focus on the top four teams. There's so many strikers I would have over Richarlison that are in this Premier League. I'd probably even look at someone like Dominic Solanke and go over Richarlison. Probably.
He's scoring goals this year.
Yeah, he is.
Might get more than Richarlison's ever had, but look,
and that's not a disservice to Richarlison. That's just credit where it's due. There's a lot of good strikers around the Premier League. I just don't think that Richarlison's anywhere near the top of the list. And if he's going to be our main guy, I take Dave's point about the fact there's horses for courses. Some games, high line, you want to put Sonny in the 9 so he can run off the back of the shoulder. Other games, you're going to need to put pepper balls into the box, and Sonny can't play that way. You know, I do take the point on there, Dave. But as I say, if you can get the money back that you paid for him or something close to it, I think you can put it to work better with other players that can do more than what Richie does. Because I think I'm with George on this one.
If we don't, look, I'd definitely keep him around as a squad player, but I want competition in for him, whether it be January or the summer. He'll need competition. Because look, you know, the reality is we grew up all as Tottenham fans, you know. We've always had great strikers to watch at this football club. Always. That's one thing Tottenham have always had, is great goal scorers at this football club. And they haven't just always had one, they've had a couple. You know, they've always had a couple, and we need to get back to that point where we have a couple again.
100%. Well, one thing, guys, we are very fortunate, I guess, at the moment, is that we're not getting too many suspensions from our forward line. So I'm going to take the segue there, nice little transition into the next topic of the evening. Before we do, I just want to say there's a couple of super chats or just announcements for the channel. Loz for Ange, that Lawrence or Lauren, maybe, I'm not sure. But thank you very much for joining, becoming a member. Really appreciate you. Looking forward to seeing you around these here parts. And when I get back to doing membership phone-in shows, looking forward to meeting you in person. And of course, Blaine Dev, one of the most generous people I've ever met, has gifted 5 Spurs Talk Show memberships once again to 5 people in the comment section. I think I've seen a few of them say thank you very much. If you are one of them, then make sure you do say thank you to Blaine. Blaine, you're a lovely guy, mate. You're so generous. Really appreciate you, buddy. You really help the channel keep on going with all these YouTube problems that I'm having, guys, with subscriptions just dropping off, with limited ads and stuff. So your generosity, Blaine, is very much appreciated, mate. I'm going to bring up this membership for 2 months, Spurs GCTV. I know you put it in earlier, my man, but I think this is a perfect kind of segue. I did ask the question, and this is the topic, right? What is the cause of this disciplinary problem? He's saying it's not even sure if there is a disciplinary problem. He doesn't think that Udogie was a yellow card anyway. I happen to agree. I thought Udogie was ridiculously harshly done by on that one. But that, nonetheless, we are bottom of or top of the kind of troublemaker table, however you want to think of it. We've got the most yellow cards, most red cards against us. If you ask most Tottenham fans on Twitter after every game, though, the consensus seems to be the same, that we seem to be having lumps kicked out of us for the 90 minutes, and yet it's our players that seem to get punished for small indiscretions. I'll start with you on this one, George. What's going on, mate? Is it a part of the tactics? Is it the fact that Angie's asking for risk taking, and we leave people up the pitch, and therefore the number 6 or whatever Bissouma has to slide in and take a bit more risk? Is it bad player management? What's going on?
Of course, I don't think it's as easy as what Spurs GCTV said. I do agree with him. I do definitely agree with him to some extent that we are playing a high line. We're playing with a high press. So there's a lot of times where we're going to be fouling high up the pitch. And sometimes where you commit so many men forward, you have to give away those fouls to stop teams going on the counter-attack. So naturally, more yellow cards. I think that's something that's always going to happen. And I haven't got a problem with it, because just like when Mourinho come in, Tottenham's been known to be a soft team. We've been known to have a lot of soft players. And now that these teams becoming a bit more aggressive, a bit more ruthless, people are starting to complain. And I ain't got a problem with it. I like to see that our players have that aggression and play that ruthlessness and that tenacity, because it shows you that they want it. It shows you that they've got their heart in it. So I haven't got a problem with that. I do think that there is definitely an issue with some of the, I guess maybe we haven't got too much experienced heads around in the team. We lack those older players that are like 30, 31 pushing, that have been in and around the squad, that can teach the younger players to cool down in games. We don't really have those players in our team at the moment, as to why you see the likes of Bissouma. I'm not happy with him at all, because this is what his second his second red card and his third suspension. It's just something crazy, like something so stupid that the challenge was poor. It was a horrible challenge. You can't have your foot that high up. I do think that the referees have been harsh on us recently, as in since that Liverpool incident, we seem to be getting a lot of decisions. I wouldn't even say they go against us. There are probably a lot of 50-50s always go against us. You never really get a 50-50 go our way anymore. So it does seem a little bit harsh, but it's one of those things. You still have to look at the players. Those are challenges that you can't be making. Similar to Romero, look, I love that part about his game too, but there's certain challenges that you just can't be making in these games where we're winning 1-0, 2-0. We're going to give it away. We're really going to give it away. And yeah, Yates was... I didn't know how he didn't get booked. You even saw today Michael Oliver gave Dalot 2 yellow cards for dissent, back to back, and gave away a red card.
What was that, by the way?
I thought that was nuts. I thought
that's crazy.
Clearly, someone's got a bet builder on or something for a red card. Because he waited right till the last minute. He done double, and I was like crazy. But if that's clearly something that's going on, and it's something that the referees have done all season, I don't know how Yates didn't get one for dissent throughout the whole game and didn't get a yellow.
Well, didn't he ask for a card twice during the game?
Yep. I just thought it was a bit crazy.
Kane made like 3 or 4 fouls on Tottenham players.
Yeah, no. So I do think there's a mixture of things, but ultimately I don't feel like it's too much of a disciplinary issue. I do feel like something Ange will have to raise with the team to let them know, look, guys, we can't be getting no more suspensions. And there's a lot of players on 3 yellow cards that are a few away from getting the 5. So we have to be careful. So it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had, but it's not a big problem what people are making it out to be.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I absolutely love it. I love it. We're sort of like the modern version of Wimbledon's Crazy Gang back in the day, which ain't a bad thing at all, in my opinion. I mean, I grew up watching Tottenham when we've always had a soft underbelly, even under Pochettino. You know, when you're going into games like cup finals and stuff, where you might need to be a bit dogged, we always had that soft underbelly to us. And with Ange Postecoglou, who's coming in here, he wants us to be aggressive on all fronts, the way we play, you know, on the front foot going forward, but also the way we press. And with that press, when you're asking players to go up, you know, you're gonna get cards and stuff like that. I personally have no problem with it. I actually like the fact that we're aggressive. We're sort of a mean team to play against. Look, Basuma's won. I'll be honest, it was a red card. The fact that he didn't win the ball and he just caught the man, I'd argue it's more of a red card than what Romero got sent off for against Chelsea. At least he got the ball first. But the problem is it's that twat Michael Olivetree that gave it again. He's the one that sent off Romero against Chelsea, and he's the one that got Basuma sent off, sending the referee over to look at that one. I wonder, does he have a problem with Tottenham? Probably doesn't like the fans because the abuse he got after the game in the Chelsea one. But the referees, I've been saying it for quite some time, have an agenda against Tottenham. Adoji's was a shoulder-to-shoulder, gets booked, and that's not the first time that's happened to that poor kid. It was against Fulham as well, something similar where the referee booked him, even though there's fouls committed on him and he didn't give it the other way. And we're seeing a repetitive team here. Forest players didn't get booked until the 89th, 90th minute when the game is already over and they're outside. Fulham players didn't get booked till late in the game. Palace players didn't get booked till late in the game. And they were routinely fouling us. The minute we make one challenge, the referee straight out with the card. It's not even funny anymore. It's actually not even funny. Yeah. Getting to a point on watch-alongs when players are making tackles, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Referee let me away with that. As soon as we make one, I'm like, watch him come out with the card. And everyone's like, Dave, you're Craig Steen. The yellow comes out. It's actually embarrassing what's going on. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of them referees. They're not fit for purpose. But look, for Basumas, do you know what? It was the player he left it on Yates. I actually admire it a little bit. To be brutally honest, you know, that guy was going around asking the referee to pull out the fake cards, which is a booking in itself, by the way. Trying to get Spurs players booked. He made about 6 or 7 challenges, went unbooked. So I'm actually delighted that Basuma went and left one in on Yates. Shut your mouth, you little shitbag. You know, and then it's up to see us throughout the rest of the game. You know, you got to stick up for yourself on the football pitch as well, whether the referee lets you or not. Sometimes you have to take matters into your own hand, and I don't mind being in that team. I absolutely relish it.
Yeah, no, I think that I agree with Dave and George. Look, I think the Spurs players have been doing us proud. Like you said, the soft underbelly, no more of that crap. My issue actually is I think the refs have been absolutely shocking this season. And actually, you know, in football, you know, just like when you're driving a vehicle, you know, mistakes, accidents do happen. And that Basuma challenge for me, was an accident. He's not deliberate. He's not trying to hurt the guy. You got to remember that the Premier League is elite football players playing at 100 miles an hour. No, he's not deliberately trying to take this guy's leg. He's moved his leg in the way while he thought he was going to get the ball. He's moved his leg and he's caught his leg. That's what happens at the top level. That's an accident. So you shouldn't be sent off for that, for incidents like that. I can understand where there's 240 challenges, like you said. And then for me, what I don't like is if you're going to send Bissouma off for things like that, then let's have it consistent across the board. I was watching the Wolves game today. Sorry to just digress slightly. Jimenez gets elbowed in the face. Not even a free kick. Jimenez jumps for the ball and bumps into the player and gets sent off. Come on, guys. What the hell is going on here? Accidents do happen. And I just think it's just poor. I think I agree with you, Dave. I never thought of it as there's an agenda against us.
But you know what, guys, though, I've got to just sort of play devil's advocate, even though this isn't the devil's advocate show. That comes on Tuesday lunchtimes, by the way. Make sure you check that out. But I've just got to jive in a little bit here. We were going mental about Matty Cash as a unified fan base. That guy got so much, traffic to his DMs, calling him this, that, and the other. Right? Tottenham fans, I think we have to kind of keep our own level water, our own water level here. Bissouma's red is a red by the consistent things we've seen this year. You got your studs up, you've gone knee high.
That's a red catch.
Whether or not it's an accident, you put yourself in that situation where you're going in with a knee high level boot, studs up. I don't think there's. I completely agree with you around the Udogie thing. I think Udogie's one was ridiculous, and I think there was no consistency from the referee for the showing the fake cards. But I think with Bissouma, I think that it was a red, and I think we were 2-0 up. There's no need for it, in my opinion. So me personally, I think that you make a rod for your own back if you take a certain stance in a game. And Dave, people absolutely agreeing with you, mate. People are loving your kind of your rant there about going after it, and that's fine. But with that comes a double-edged sword that you're going to find yourself with 10 men more often than not. You're going to find yourself with players that are out.
Postecoglou's already planned for that, though. You can see that, Sean, when straight away with Luton and the last game when we went down to 10 men, straight away Kulu's son up top. He's obviously planned for that in training. You can see that by the formation that we play.
I know, but listen, at the same time, so this okay. So my follow up then is, if this is a little, because I believe that there are. I said this on straight after the game. I said on a like a fan cam for Henry's channel, he was asking me what's going on, and I said I think it's part of the process of playing Ange ball. I think you're going to put yourself in situations where you're going to have 7, 8 men committed, 6, 7, 8 men committed, and then you're going to have this number 6 who looks and goes, I've got Ben Davies behind me, he's not fast enough necessarily. I've got Romero who might be out of trouble. I've got Udogie's already up the pitch. I got, I'm in a situation where I've got to do something similar to what players do, tactical fouls, pulling shirts back. He goes about it a different way. I think you've got a combination of a little bit of naivety from the player, plus I think you've got a little bit of the reinforcement of the tactic, which is take risks, progress the ball forward, and then also you're going to have to necessarily handle situations as the Monster 6 where you're protecting who's left behind you, and there's not many players left behind you. And so if that is the case, and you can disagree with me if you want as part of your answer here, boys, but if that is the case, then does it reinforce this narrative that there is a need for more depth in the midfield option, even though you have players like Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who technically are 6th or 7th in preferential list of midfielders at Tottenham Hotspur, if you include Decky as a midfielder now in the 10. If I don't know how many other teams around us have got someone of Højbjerg's quality 6th or 7th on the list of priority, but if that's the case, do you still need someone else because you're going to have situations next year where you're going to have players out suspended more frequently than you would normally find in a normal season?
I don't know. I don't know if this is a product of the Ange Ball system. I mean, what was it like when he was at Celtic? I just think we've just been unfortunate. We've been unfortunate with some of the refereeing decisions, and I think it's been unfortunate that these guys have have caught themselves in these situations. I think moving forward, we will get it right and we will play. The only thing that worries me, though, is if we do get it right, are we losing something in that process? Does Basuma lose a little bit of aggression? You know, it jars me at the moment to see players in the box putting their hand behind their back. You just can't move as mobile. You just can't be as agile as you would like. Your hands are behind your back. And is that what we're asking our boys to do in the midfield? You know what I mean? Just slightly just take, you know, like I said, it's these fine margins. He doesn't put his leg there. Maybe they get a through ball onto the goal. I mean, we play a high line for, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm hoping whatever they can do, they can sort it out. But I don't want our boys, I don't want Basuma, I don't want Sarr, anyone losing their edge. Because if they lose their edge, then what was it all for in the first place? And that's just my opinion.
Okay.
I do think the longer they play under Ange Postecoglou, I'd expect to see it, you know, come the end of the season, start of next season, sort of improve. I think the more they get used to the synchronized pressing and the shape and the system and stuff like that, you'll start seeing players position themselves better, become smarter and stuff like that. So I do think it's something that will improve. But for me right now, I absolutely love it. I mean, I watched Tottenham for years being a soft team, and I absolutely love being the most aggressive team in the league. Yes, there's a fine line between aggressive and stupidity, but look, you know, I don't think it's all down to Ange's tactics. Like I said, I do think the referees have got a lot wrong in our games this year and probably been harsher on us than most other teams. I think it's a combination of both. I think if the referees got their decisions right, I think not sure we would be up the top of the sort of card stats.
George, remind me, mate, did you leave did you have your say on this particular topic or about discipline? Were you first on? Okay. I'm not sure. My memory's terrible. All right, so listen, we'll move on then. We've got. I don't know how much time you guys have got left. We've got 2 final topics to go through. Let me know if you guys in the private chat if you have to jump off quickly or anything. But do have 2 final topics. One of them, I'm going to shift straight into the one of the reasons why I posed this question around if we're going to have this disciplinary issue, if it comes with the territory, then maybe just maybe there needs to be backup. There needs to be a strengthening of the squad depth in order to kind of facilitate and handle these situations as they arise. Because, you know, we're going to talk about Everton's and the setup for that game last. Before then, we're going to bring up Dave's a topic that's close to Dave's heart and obviously George's heart and Deji's heart. You guys are all Christmas full of Christmas joy. I feel like I'm the Grinch. I just don't care about it. But Ange's Christmas list to Santa. Ange did say in the pre-match press conference that he has written his list to Daniel Santa Levy, and we will see where we go with it. What does that look like for you? Do you expect? He's mentioned 3 or 4 times now. Early. He wants early business done. But he's cognizant that he also said that it's not necessarily always easy. All parties have to agree.
But the only thing is, with hearing that is, I know we're Tottenham fans. How many times we hear that, man? For the past 15 years, I've been hearing that. We're going to get business done early. We're going to get business done early. And then it's the 14th, 15th of January, and we're like, the deals are still being worked on. Players, the interest is moving forward.
Yeah.
It's always these like that wording that doesn't mean anything, but we get sold that for the first 2 weeks of the window. And I'm convinced, like, as much as I pray for change and I wish that Daniel Levy's going to make something different, I don't know if I'm convinced it's actually going to happen. I don't know if we're going to have players in before the United game. And I really hope we do.
Well, I can tell you what I think Ange's Christmas list is, because I think I've seen it. And I reckon it's similar to mine. So on my list, I've written that I would like Maddison and Van der Ven.
Loving the hat, Dave. Perfect for the occasion.
Perfect. The Christmas list is we want Van der Ven and Maddison back on January the 1st. All right. If they're back, then that is the best Christmas gift you could give Spurs fans. Back early, not mid-Jan, but beginning of bloody Jan, because we know about Levy and we know about the spending. I agree. We discussed it earlier, but we need a centre back. We need a top class centre back for me. Someone who can put Van der Ven and Romero, put a little bit of fire in their belly. Can we bring in one in the new year? Also, can we bring in a midfielder? I don't know whether it's a defensive midfielder, whether it's an attacking midfielder, but we need a midfielder. Ideally, I think Kulusevski's opened up a can of worms for us. He can play the number 10 role, so maybe we could bring in a defensive, maybe a Polina, especially if Basuma wants to be out for these number of games. Could we get a Polina in?
Talk about dirty players with disciplinary track records. You got Polina. Bring Polina into Tottenham. We finish every game with 8 men. That guy is about as dirty as they come. I love him. I love him, but he's dirty.
Yeah. Someone's put in a new medical team. Yeah, that's too funny. And also, yeah, we need a striker or a winger. So I don't mind. People have been talking about Rafinha. Is Rafinha going to do a better job than Cooley on the right? That's the only question I have. I don't know. Ideally, I would like to see a striker up top to kind of challenge Richarlison, because there is no challenge to him. It's only Son, and I think Son can do a job on the left. So yeah, we need to bring in 3 players in the 3 areas of the pitch.
So centre back, striker, midfield, and a winger. They're the 3 areas for you, are they, Dej?
Yeah.
I think there is one position I do think you missed out on, and that is central midfield. I do feel like I'm not too sure where in central midfield we're going to go with, because I feel like there's a few different positions we could cover. But me personally, I think we need another 6. We need someone that can, like you say, Basuma's not going to be here for pretty much. We're not going to see him till February now. We're not going to see him until after the Africa Cup of Nations. Because he's out for the first 3 games here, and then for the whole of January he's gone. So pretty much say see you later to him. Apart from him, I don't feel like we have any other players. Bentancur, if he's back, but he's not back until mid-February potentially. So no other players that can play in that role in the 6 comfortably and sort of do a really good job playing the ball. Not the way Højbjerg does for me, playing in the defensive system he'll work, but not in our system. He's just not a good enough player. So for me, I feel like from the first position we need to go out and get, because we're going to need them to play in January, is that position for number 6, whether it's a player like Calvin Phillips, which I think could go perfect into the role, could slot right in. I feel like he suits the system, playing with that high press, high lines. And for Leeds, he used to be able to command that number 6 role all by himself. And I feel like he done it really well. Obviously, we're not seeing him stepped on at Man City, but as Pep said, he's a really good player. Just doesn't fit into their system. They've got players that are just, I think, the level above. And players like Rico Lewis, who are just technically really good, you just can't beat. So I feel like Calvin Phillips, a player that can bring him, I feel like
would you get him on loan, Dej, or George? Would you get him on loan, mate, or would because I've heard rumors that he's put on like a stone and a half. I just don't know whether or not he's lost. If he's.
I just think that's lack of game time, lack of chances. He's not really been given the chance to flourish at City. He's never really been given much game time. He had a game the other day which he scored. Obviously, it was a penalty. But if we could get a loan with an option to buy, that would be the perfect way to do it. Levy would never turn down a deal. And it also allows us to offload Højbjerg and bring in some money for him. So that's why I'm saying the number 6 for me would be the first position. And onwards from that, I'd look at a winger. I feel like we need to bring in a winger, someone that can. We haven't got anyone on the left wing who's dangerous. I don't feel like Brennan Johnson can play on the left side. And Richarlison. Son, the resurgence on the left side since Richarlison's been in the middle has been good. I've liked to see it from him, and he's starting to pick up some of the form that he had a few seasons ago, starting to beat his man again. But we need someone that can do that consistently, and maybe Nico Williams, Armand Loriente. I want someone that's a really good 1v1 demon, someone that likes to run at their players like Jeremy Doku. So if we can get a player like that, I'd be happy with those 2 being our key signings. And of course, a centre-back. We all know a centre-back needs to be done, whether it's Jared Branthwaite from Everton or Ben Godfrey. Apparently, we're looking at...
Don't want Ben Godfrey, mate. Don't want Ben Godfrey.
I think Ben Godfrey is a decent player. I've been a fan of him.
He was 3 years ago, man. That guy is like, since he broke his leg, he can't get into Everton's team. He's got a terrible time and jump. He can't head the ball. He's a big lad, but he can't. I think that guy is just clumsy FC. I don't want Ben Godfrey at Tottenham Hotspur.
He's another one.
Yeah, Branthwaite, I'm interested in. Although I think, Dave, what do you call Branthwaite? What do you call him? You got a name for Branthwaite, haven't you, mate?
The new Harry Maguire.
Is it new Harry? Is that what you call him? The new Harry Maguire? Is it something like that?
I can't remember what I called him.
You said something funny about him before. I forget what it was, but yeah, he's you're not a fan. You're not a fan of Branthwaite?
No, he's all right. I'm just not sure why we need to bring in Braithwaite when you've got Dorrington coming through and stuff like that. You've got Phillips there. I think they're sort of very close in age. In age, in my opinion, I think you know you'd want to be bringing in a 24 or 25. Look, centre back is first on the list for me. We got to get back to keeping clean sheets. You keep clean sheets, you can automatically come out the game with a draw at minimum. 3 points at best. So for me, it's about bringing in another centre back to keeping clean sheets, even if we get injuries or suspensions. I think midfield will depend on whether we get a fee for Lo Celso and Højbjerg. I think we'll probably look at it then if we can get money for either one of them and ship them out. I actually look at it a bit different to George. Me personally, I think we need to back up the Papa Mata Sarr, someone that does what Sarr does. No one else in that midfield can do what he does in terms of the way he breaks up playing and helps down that right-hand side, but also the multiple times he turns over the ball in the opposition half. When he's out of the team, you really see it missing in midfield. Teams counter on us very, very easily when he's not in there. So for me, I actually think we need someone to come in and challenge him rather than someone to come in and be behind Basuma. I think.
Dave, let me ask you this, mate. On your show a couple of days ago, Adam William Cahill said, I think we had this debate, right? So I don't think you ever responded when I rolled my eyes at what Adam said. I'm not sure you responded, and I want to get these two guys' opinion as well. Adam was saying he would not even accept £70 million for Pape Sarr right now. And I was like, listen, I love Sarr. I'm daddy long legs, right? I think that I've never seen a player more mobile across the pitch. He's brilliant. He's young. He's got all the time on the world on his side. But £70 million, you can do a lot for £70 million. And Adam was, shout out to Adam if he's listening. He was saying, I mean, you look at Caicedo, 100 million. You look at Lavia, 60. You look at these and I was like, yeah, okay, but that's Chelsea being, morons paying that much money. £70 million. Would you accept? I'll start with you, Dave. Obviously, I need to get your answer, and we'll get the boys as well.
Do you know what? I wouldn't.
Is that a bit punchy?
Look, I wouldn't. I'll tell you a number of reasons why. I think that kid will go on and have a super career. If you look at into the sort of the way he lives his life, he's already a sort of computer engineer and stuff like that. He's clever, and I don't think he'll ever sort of get carried away with himself or lose the track of himself. I think he will focus on football and what he's doing. I think he's set for a great career. Look what he's doing at this age. He's only going to go on and get better. For me, you keep him and you bring in more players, more competition. We've seen since we brought in competition, everyone was going on about Skipp. Since we brought in competition, he's nowhere near the team and he ain't good enough to beat you. He was atrocious the other night when he came on the pitch. So it's about bringing in competition. But for me, I think you've got a kid in Sarr that'll have a good 10, 11, 12, 13 years at the top because of the type of guy he is off the pitch. So on that long run basis, long term, I ain't accepting that money whatsoever. You're talking about
£70 million. You wouldn't take £70 million.
We shouldn't have to cash in on players like that. The club should go and
it's a hypothetical. It's just a hypothetical. If Man United came in and said, Liverpool said, we'll give you £70 million for Sarr right now.
No, I wouldn't take it.
You wouldn't take it.
The answer is no. I agree with my brother Dave, and I'll tell you why the answer is no. There's about 5 or 6 players in that Tottenham team that I reckon can take us to the promised land, and Sarr is one of them. When you've got top level players or players with the potential to double, 3 times 10x from where they are now, they cannot be sold. You've got Sarr, who could be Yaya Toure 50.0, Van de Ven, who could be the best centre-back in the Prem, Madders, in terms of, attacking midfield, Udogie, best left-back, Porro, best right-back. We've got the nucleus for a team that could dominate. We just, like Dave said...
Yeah, don't forget Kulusevski's only 23, right?
Mate, Kulusevski, we just need to add 3 more quality players of that ilk in that team, and that is a Premier League, potentially Champions League winning squad. So you can't sell him. There is
I don't want to sell him.
You know what it is, yeah?
Go on, George, go on.
I was just going to say, I see both sides. Look, I feel like for 70 million, there's not much players that you can replace him with where the upside is as big as what you see from him. Because I feel like his ceiling is up here. And selling him for 70 million pounds, I don't feel like you're going to get a lot of players who have a ceiling that high. But also, I look on the other hand of things and I say, for 70 million pounds, let's be honest, he's a number 8. You can go and look at the field of number 8s across world football, and you can find some very
There's
good
hundreds
number
of
8s.
number 8s.
That's what I mean. There's
hundreds of them.
there's a load of number 8s.
Not ones that do it
play
consistently,
different. They
though.
just play differently. And for me personally, if I did get 70 million, and if I knew I can get Eze for that money, I'm buying your hand off, and I'm gonna sell him and get Eze for the 70 million.
And then who are you gonna play in the 8?
Papama Sarr turns up
Eze's a
every
Premier
single
League.
week he's on the pitch. Every single week. There's a lot of players out there that, yes, they may have a bit more creativity, what have you not. But I can guarantee you they won't show up every single week, and you'll start becoming frustrated with them. With Papama Sarr, you go back to some of the biggest games this year. He's been our best midfielder on the pitch. He turns up every single week for Tottenham Hotspur, and that, believe it or not, that's a rarity in football nowadays. So many players, just blow hot and cold. He is a shoe-in every single week. You know exactly what you're going to get. He's dependable. That's rarity in football.
I think we're all on the same page that he's amazing, and the ceilings there is amazing. But I personally think the days of £100 million players transfers, like unless it's Chelsea that are just spending wildly cash that they don't have, and they're kicking the can down the road. You look, Arsenal are up against FFP. Newcastle are up against FFP. Chelsea are going to be up against FFP unless they sell Conor Gallagher. They might have to sell their captain, their best player this season, because he's the most valuable homegrown talent asset on their books that they can sell to make room to go and buy someone else that's not going to necessarily work for them. But I just think that there's like these days of like £100 million players with FFP pushing up against everyone's books all the time. I'm not sure that there's that much money out there. And so I don't think that there's that much people saying Evan Ferguson just because Brighton are going to ask £100 million for Evan Ferguson, I don't think there's that many teams that are going to be able to go and spend it on him. And so I think he'll stay at Brighton if that's what they're going to ask. But I'm just saying, Pape Sarr, I love him as much as you guys. I'm loving him as much as everyone else loves him. But I just think £70 million is a lot of money.
For me, I just think
a lot of things with
in world football, you just don't sell your best players. Yeah. And, with Kane, he had done what he needed to do at our club, and it was time for him to go and do what he needed to do. But at the moment, Pape Sarr is in the beginning of his journey, and we don't sell him. And for me, I can see him in the next 2 or 3 seasons being better than Basmati Rice. Yes, I really can. I mean, everyone pulls me, but it's the truth.
Man, why have you got to do these things? Why have you got?
The way people shake their bums for Declan, you know what I mean? Look, Pape Sarr is our Declan for our club. That's what Davies saying. He's our action hero. You know what I mean?
Let's not give him that.
We're punching a little bit here. To say that he's Declan Rice, he's not Declan Rice.
No, he does for us what Declan does for the Gooners.
If he had the same amount of seasons under his belt as Declan Rice, he'd probably be at that level.
Sarr's had 16 good games for our club, and we're going to say we're going to turn. It's all hypothetical anyway. We're saying we're going to turn down £70 million for a guy who's had, he's not. What is it? 13 games he's played for us. I think it's a little bit stretch. If you said £50 million, I'd say I'll roll the dice.
You got to believe in him, lad. Believe in the ability. Believe in the long term of Papama Sarr, lad. He's going to deliver.
All right, listen. I didn't want to get stuck on the Pape Sarr conversation too much. So just to round off, because we've got one more topic. I know you guys have got to go. Sorry, Dave. You want to jump in?
Yeah, just quickly. Can I finish Ange Postecoglou's shopping list?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to finish this off, and then we'll move on to the last topic. So yeah, get back to Ange's shopping list.
Yeah, look, obviously I'm on the list, but look, I do think we need a striker as well, being brutally honest. I think, with Richarlison, he's still going to blow hot and cold between now and the end of the season. We have a good opportunity now to get back inside top 4. We're only 6 points off top. So if I'm the club, I'd be looking to go out and get a striker. I know a lot of people say wingers, but the reality is the reason why the wingers weren't really creating or assisting as much is because we've played more teams that play low block than we do that come out and play against us. And that's when you see both wingers having to come in and do the same, it's because they've got nobody inside in the box to aim at. The last couple of games when they've had Richie to aim at, the wingers have not been a problem in this side. So for me, it's about bringing in another striker. We've got a number of wingers. Kulu can create. Johnson can create. Son can create. You give Gill an opportunity now that there's players in the box for him to aim at. He'll create for you. For me, we're stuck with wingers. We've got Solomon as well. He'll be coming back at some point. We need another striker at this football club. We've only got one. Sonny gives us so much more than just goals, so we have to play him out wide. You look at Nottingham Forest, although he didn't come off with an assist or a goal to his name. He was the catalyst. He was the first one that started driving at Nottingham Forest, putting balls in the box, showing people the way. Whether we like it or not, we need someone in that, in that creative role to drive us forward, and he's that guy. So for me, it's about bringing another striker to compete with Richarlison, because he ain't going to get you enough goals between now and the end of the season, in my opinion, to be able to, whatever our goal is, top 4 or Champions League. So you bring in another striker, that enhances your chance of top 4. And also, if they're looking at a league title and do business in other areas, you bring in a striker, it gives you a right opportunity.
Mm-hmm. What
Sorry, George.
strikers do you think are out there? I'm asking Dave, because I know there's Jimenez, but apart from him, I look at the striker market and I say there's really not much. Like,
look, Vlahovic is what's out of Juve. I think he's got all the right attributes to play in the Premier League. I know he's having a bit of a tough time, but sometimes you can see players that make the wrong move to teams that don't suit them. I look at the likes of Evan Ferguson, like Sean said, a lot of other clubs are sort of cash strapped right now in terms of what they can do with financial fair play, although I believe they'll just go around it anyway. They'll probably do what Barcelona done and sell 20 years worth of naming rights and shit like that. But Evan Ferguson, why not take a stab and get him? At the end of the day, we sold the world's best striker. It's now up to us to replace him adequately. They knew when they were going to sell him that there's only a select few that can reach that level or at that level. So they put themselves in that predicament. And I'd argue if we had Harry Kane this season with what we've got now, we'd be absolutely walking that league. So for me, it's about bringing in another guy that can contribute and add another 15 goals to what Richarlison's going to add, or be able to come in here and score 25 goals a season. It's that simple for me. We have to get back to that level. I won't accept anything less, because I've always seen great strikers at Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. There's not an insignificant amount of clubs though that are after the very best strikers that are out there. It's a very demand and supply kind of high in demand, short in supply kind of market. So I get it, and maybe that saying that out loud is one of the reasons why you don't necessarily let go of Richarlison until you can find a replacement for him. But Evan Ferguson, for me, like him, but I just don't think he's 100. I don't think he's worth £100 million yet. Just like I don't think Sar's worth £70 million yet. I think if you're paying that sort of money, you're paying for perfection, and I think it's too early in their careers to be paying that sort of money. But listen, it is what it is. So did I get yours? I've heard Deji's shopping list. George, your shopping list was a centre back and a midfielder and a striker. But midfielder was centre back first, midfielder second, wasn't it? You said you wanted a 6 second, didn't you?
Yeah, and then a striker / winger. I'm open to like, I just wanted someone that can bring in goals, whether it's a really good winger or a really good striker. They would be my last on the shopping list. But a centre back, centre mid, and then a winger.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I just wanted to ask, I think we've got a super chat. I want to get to a couple of super chats here because Blaine brought one up and we've got Sinclair. Before I get into these guys, just quickly, there's 400 people here, give or take, that are watching. It's awesome for a Sunday night at 10:20. Can you just do me a favor, guys? Smash the like button if you haven't already, but also get into the description of the page. Just click below and you're going to see Deji Spurs' YouTube channel. You're going to see the Irish Hotspur, and you're going to see George's Twitter account. And on George's Twitter account, you're going to see access to all of his TikTok and everywhere where he spends his time. George, I've been telling you, mate, you need to get a YouTube channel going, buddy. You know, you have to get this going, mate.
George, hurry up, 2024.
We need to get it. 2024 is your year, mate. We're going to get you to 10K very quickly. Just get it going. Yeah, smash the like, guys. Smash the subscribers to everybody here and the follows and all that stuff. Blaine's back in. Big up, Blaine. He says, question, thoughts, gents, on Ollie Skipp. In my opinion, it's time to let go. I think he's very low tier, and we have possibly better coming in through the youth team. It's interesting. We're talking about the shopping list to coming in. Maybe some of that depends on things going out. Is Ollie Skipp a sacrificial lamb? Guys, I thought you played well against Nottingham Forest when he came
to describe him for me is Tom Carroll, Harry Winks. That's his ilk. Literally. He's just that. He's copy and paste of those two players. That's who he reminds me of. He's just nothing but basically short yard passing.
He's not good enough going forward or defensively. Look, I actually went early on Ollie Skipp last season. And I said, I don't think he's going to be good enough for Tottenham. I got pelters for it. Look, this guy came true when we had Højbjerg and Winks in the midfield. I mean, I would have walked into that midfield, let's be brutally honest. But since we've brought in the likes of Basuma, Bentancur, people like that, he's nowhere near the level technically. And then you look at it, okay, if he's not near the level technically, Can he do a job for you in a defensive midfield role if you need someone to shore up in front of the fence? He ain't good enough to do that either. So for me, when you look it up and weigh it up, he ain't good enough to be here. But also, I feel sorry for the kid in a way because he ain't going to be allowed to go anywhere. You look at our homegrown quota in the squad. It's the next area that seriously needs to be addressed. And we talk about having a competitive squad. We have to address that side of the squad in order to make that happen. But with homegrown players to come at a premium. So in my opinion, I don't think Tottenham, until they get that addressed, which are, by Tottenham standards and how slow we go, it'll probably take 2 to 3 seasons. So for me, I think he'd be kept around here just purely to take the spreadsheet that goes into the FA at the end of the transfer window as a homegrown player. I feel sorry for him in that regard. But if he doesn't force a move out of the club, he'll end up like Harry Winks. He'll be 26, 27. No one sort of really knows who he is, never made an impression on the game, and his next move will be the Championship.
We need to sell him while he's young, so while he's got some value on him. If we can get 20 mil for him, take it. If he will do very good in the Championship. We already see him perform over there. Go that level and work your way back up. But right now, nah, man, I don't think Skipp anywhere near level.
Deji?
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, it does pain me because I know, the process. He's worked hard. Do you know what I mean? But a shame. I agree with George. He is just a step below. I think Championship is more his level. But also, I don't like to see players who've worked so hard just rot on the bench just to fill a quota either. I would love Spurs to do just to do the honourable thing. He should go back to Norwich and maybe help them in the kind of Norfolk derby and hopefully get a win against Ipswich. That's what he needs to do. He needs to get in the Norwich team. But I don't want to see Skipp just rotting on the bench. I wouldn't like that at all.
Do you know what's interesting though? Last thing I'll say, because I think I agree with you guys. I don't think he's our level, or at least not what we're trying to achieve. But
yeah,
I do think that Ange seems to rate him. I think Ange brings him on. He brought him on against Nottingham Forest as first sub, which was odd. He brings him on in every game for Lo Celso he always justifies the sub by saying, "I think we needed more steel in midfield." So, I mean, I don't know. I'm with you guys, but I've got a sort of a feeling that he might be. I agree with you, George. He could be the Harry Winks, like a hard trainer, consummate professional, and that somehow rubs off on the minds of the coaching staff and the. And the coach when it comes to changes, he'll do it on the pitch, but he doesn't really do it for me. But
he's another good boy, though, isn't he? He's another yes boy. Like, he's not good enough to be there. He's living the dream. He's happy. He's never going to kick up and complain because he accepts a pay packet. But is that what we really want in the squad? Little good boys that sit there, yes, sir. No, we don't. And at the end of the day, look, he's had his chance and ultimately he didn't take it. It's time to move him on.
Yeah, I think
and also let's not forget he started off.
Go on, mate.
Sorry, let's not forget he started off the season in a starting role. He didn't take him out of stars come in, and he hasn't been able to get in the team since.
Yeah, when we have seen him, we've only seen him here or there for 10 minutes. I think that injury that he had set him back. So I don't think it's necessarily as clean a story as we're making out. But it is what it is. Thank you very much for the super chat, Blaine. D. Sinclair here saying we're not serious if we don't go for Osimhen. I'll be entirely honest, mate. I don't think you're serious if you think we can get him. I think he will cost an absolute fortune. I don't think that anyone apart from someone is going to go massively into debt. He's not going to leave for less than 100, and he'll be one of those the final few £100 million players until there's a reset in football finance. And I just don't think Daniel Levy's ever going to spend that sort of money. Do any of you guys think that Osimhen's likely or possible? No.
Don't even.
Yeah.
I'd like to go after him, but I don't think it.
I'd love him as well. Yeah, I'd love him as well, Mr. Sinclair. But I'm not sure.
He suits the system. He would be perfect for Orange Ball, but unfortunately, we just don't have enough pull at the moment. We would have to be in the Champions League, challenging for the Prem, and have 100+ mil to spend.
Yeah, look. Yeah, 100%. I just don't think it's happening. And he's coming in the second super chat saying, sell Skipp and PH and bring in Amadou Onana. This is a perfect segue, mate. Look, for me, Onana, I think he's a fantastic player on his day. I don't think he does it enough for his team. For Everton, I think that when he wants to play, and in the last season, the last couple of years, I think he's been absolutely sensational on his day, but I just don't think he quite does it enough. But people get sucked in by seeing one brilliant performance here or there, and then they think he's back, and then he goes missing again. And what I don't want is Tottenham to commit to a player that's, not fully like of that kind of like mentality monster. But guys, that last question of the night, we're running over track, guys, so I don't want to keep you too much longer, so we'll keep this one short. But Tottenham Everton, given the suspensions, given Udogie is out, given Bissouma's out, Maddison's out, Van der Ven's out, Perisic is out, the long list of players that are out. Everton on a brilliant run of form. I think if Everton didn't have their 10-point deduction, I think they'd be 8th right now.
Yeah, they would be.
Not an easy game as most people would think, even though Tottenham generally do very well versus Everton at home. What's your thoughts on the game? How would you set up and what are you expecting? I'll start with Deji on this one.
Yeah, I mean, look, the common sense thing to say would be that Everton is probably the team we don't want to be playing at this moment in time for me, especially when we lost Udogie and Bissouma. I was like, no, not Everton next. Sean Dyche, Sean Dyche football. However, Everton is one of the teams, a bit like City, who doesn't matter what we do, we just seem to always get the result. So how we're going to set up, it's obvious we're going to have Sarr, Højbjerg, and Lo Celso will probably be back in the squad. Or we go with Højbjerg, Sarr, Kulusevski, Brennan Johnson, Richarlison, Son. That can still work. Højbjerg's come in and he's done a job. He's done a Ben Davies. He's not going to, set the world alight, but he's come in and he's done a sturdy job, and we need a sturdy pair of hands. He can do it. We've still got Romero there. My issue is that at left back, without Udogie makes such a big difference. The way he plays that inverted role, the way he can drive with the ball, it means we revert back to Emerson Royale, left back, who I think has been a consummate professional, having to play all sorts of roles this season. I'm not confident. I think if we can get a win, that would be remarkable. And Onge is truly the best manager in the league. If we can get away with a draw, I will take that. But we must not lose.
Dave, I just wanted to bring this up. I couldn't actually believe it when I saw it. If you look at their form since, it's a little bit. It was even indifferent here. They beat Brentford. They lost. They beat Villa at home. The last team to beat Villa at home. No, wait, that can't be right. Everton beat Aston Villa at home. Is that in the cup?
Probably the cup.
Oh yeah, it was on the FA. Because I was going to say Aston Villa haven't lost at home in the league for a long time. So they beat Everton. The last team that beat the Aston Villa lost to was in at home. Then they lost to Luton, which is not, it is what it is. Then they beat Bournemouth 3-0. They lost to Liverpool. They beat Everton. They beat Burnley. They drew with Brighton. They beat Palace. They lost to United. They were terrible against United. And then since then, they beat Everton, Newcastle, Chelsea, Burnley. I mean, they're playing fantastic football. Not fantastic football, so that's a lie. They're playing fantastic systems against the teams. Like Sean Dyche has got them playing fantastically well. He seems to adapt his squad, his team to play the opposition. I mean, this is a big game for them. It's a big game for us. So how do you see it shaping up?
Yeah, look, but ultimately, I think it's going to be one of them long, frustrating sort of games. I think key is for us scoring early, sort of 5-10 minutes if we can, and sort of wreck everything's game plan. The longer it goes on without us scoring, the more belief they're going to have in themselves, and that's where it becomes dangerous. Look, where I worry the most is them set pieces. He'll put them balls right in on top of Vicario, and they've got big men attacking that. If anyone watched the Burnley game last night, look at 4 or 5 big bodies all attacking Trafford in goals. We don't have the biggest of defenders or the biggest of squads, so they're going to absolutely get joy from set pieces. So that worries me. I think it's a game we might have to put 2-3 goals on the board to get over the line. You remember back against Cup under Conte, I think under Jose Mourinho, they done us from set pieces and stuff like that again. But it's just about us, don't do stupid things that we've done in the last couple of games. Against West Ham, if we do go 1-0 up, Go and get the kill. Don't rest on your laurels. Don't sit back because they're one of them. They can get you any minute. All it takes is one corner kick. But also against Nottingham Forest, when they played every man behind the ball, which is what Everton's going to do. How many sloppy bloody passes did we give away in the first half? We were looking to win. We were looking to go in at halftime 1-0 up. We were absolutely atrocious, and we need to move that a bit more purpose, a bit quicker, because Everton, they're just going to sit in and wait to spring the counter, win a corner, and go and win the game. So the onus is on us, and I want to see that higher, or that fire, that hunger, and that desire from these guys on Saturday night. I don't want them to go out the attitude that they eventually think just because they knock it around and Everton are chasing shadows that they're going to part open like the Red Sea and gift us a goal. The onus is on us, and I want to see that attitude from every single one of us. I do feel going into some of these games, sometimes we go with the attitude that they owe us something, or that it's just going to be a routine win, and they don't do enough to go and affect these games. So it's one of them. It's a banana peel, but it's up to us to avoid it. Let's go and do our job.
Yeah, Dave, I think you're spot on, mate, with the threat side of things. George, if you agree, or if you're not, let us know. But if you do agree that they're obviously dangerous in that regard, does it cement, and also the fact that they're probably going to do low block, does it cement the narrative that you keep Richie in the 9 because Sonny can't do low block 9 role, so you put him out on the left, BJ if he's back from his head gash or whatever on the right? How do you see us setting up, mate?
Yeah, I agree with that setup. I think that we need to go, especially if we're missing Basuma, we probably need to switch up our midfield a bit. Maybe go with, I would take a risk, and if Lo Celso's back, just not start Højbjerg. I don't like Højbjerg anymore. I'd feel like he's just not comfortable in this system. So I would go Sarr, Lo Celso and Kulu in the middle, and just make Sarr play the deeper role, which I think he has the capability to do so. And yeah, Lo Celso in the 8. But I do agree with what Dave said. Everton can be dangerous, but if we are being honest, Everton's one team that we just find ourselves beating most of the time. I don't feel like it's a team that I ever look at and ever be worried of them coming to our ground and getting a result. I do feel like if we do drop points and if we do get a draw, which is very, very much like it could happen, because if we don't finish our chances, I feel like Everton's a team who's going to give us a lot of chances. We're going to take the game to them and have a lot of the ball. We just need to make the most of it and make it count. And if we do that, like you said, I reckon if we do get a goal early and we make it count and get a second, then we could probably take the foot off the pedal and just see the game out as a 2-0. And that's just what we need to do, especially with the amount of games that we got coming up. We got to try kill the games off early and then try to just play out the games for the wins that we need. I do feel like we are going to go out there and get a win. I don't feel like it is going to be easy. Like I said, I do feel like if it's probably going to be one of those games you're going to have to work for it, but Everton shouldn't be too much of a problem, and we should be putting Everton away. For me, looking at the table as well, like you said, wanting to stay in touch and distance of the top, knowing that Liverpool and Arsenal are playing, if either of those win, one of those teams, if we win, we could be 2 points behind them. So it's very much like it's a much needed win game. A much needed win
or a must-win game. It's both. It's both, right? Yeah, we need to win both, 100%.
And
listen,
and also, sorry,
go on, Dave.
Just quickly, Ange also uses the word conviction a lot in post-match interviews and stuff like that, and that's what I want to see from this team. Go out there with a purpose.
Yeah, so are we all? Obviously, are we thinking without Udogie? Are we back to Deji? Are we back to putting Emerson Royale on the left-hand side? Do we keep Davies at left-sided centre-back, Romero and Porro? Is that how you'd set up the back four?
I think that's what we did against. Who did we do that? Was that how we set up again? Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. That's the obvious move. Emerson Royale will go left wing back. He can do a job, and I'm just thinking that the biggest threat, to be honest, is Gary McNeil, who is on the Porro side. Dwight McNeil. You know McNeil, and I think he's a good player, but he's on the left hand, so he's up against Porro. The person who plays on the other side wing, I don't really see that person really flying forward. I can't even remember who it is, so it's not a big deal for me in that regard. And I think maybe Emerson Royale might be able to just do a job there. But yeah, Ben Davies and Romero as centre backs. Also, the only other positive thing I will say is that Jordan Pickford, for me, is one of the worst goalkeepers in Premier League history. This guy, the way he pumps his chest, and he's absolutely royally
no bite, man.
And so any decent shot on goal should go in my opinion.
Do you know what though? Right, if there's like some sort of kerfuffle on the halfway line. You watch him fly 50 yards to get involved. You know what? Tottenham should be on board with that if there's a chance to take a quick free kick and put it in the back of the net from the halfway line, because that guy can't help himself but run. He gets those 50-meter sprints. I reckon he's one of the fastest players in the Premier League on his day. I've never seen that man sprint out. I've never seen anybody sprint as fast as he does when he gets into a kerfuffle. But and what are we thinking, guys? Predictions for Saturday. It's going to be a tough game, but are we all thinking a win? Deji, I think you went first. You said you would take a draw, didn't you? Is that what you said?
I said at the very worst a draw, but I'm going to go with 2-1 Spurs. It's always a 2-1 with Everton. I'll go 2-1 Spurs.
2-1 Spurs. Dave? Are you on mute, mate?
Sorry about that, getting into amateur hour now. Nothing but a win is acceptable for me. I think they're going to go out there and try and give us a good Christmas present. I don't know why. I'm going to go 4-0 Tottenham.
Oh, wow. Love that. Love that. You're being joined by a couple of 3-0s, 2-0s. Most people here are saying we're not conceding. George, are we conceding?
I was just about to say a clean sheet as well, but then when I remembered that we've got Emerson and no Basuma, so we might be playing without a 6 and potentially Højbjerg, we're going to concede. I'd say 2-1. I feel like it's going to be one of those 2-0s and we concede a late one. Just consolation for them, but yeah, 2-1 win. I'm
also going to go for 2-1. I personally, much as I like George's midfield 3, I personally think he's going to go with Højbjerg or Skipp.
Yeah.
In the 6, and then Sarr in the 8, and then Decky in the 10. And as we were at the top and at the back, I think as we were, but with Royale replacing Udogie. Guys, I want to say massive thank you to all 3 of you. I want to say massive thank you to Spurs GCTV, to Lodge for becoming a new member, for Blaine Deb for your ongoing support, my man, and for Mr. Sinclair as well. Really appreciate all your support. All your descriptions are in, all your links, are in the description. Anything coming up, guys, on your channels, Deji?
Yeah, I hope to have a kind of Spurs Everton preview this week and a match reaction after the game. Apart from that, you might see me floating around other people's channels this week.
Nice one, Dej. Appreciate you, mate. Dave, what's coming up with you, my man?
Yeah, look, I'm everywhere this week, Shawnee. It's Christmas week. Everyone wants a piece of the pie, so I'm feeling generous, so I'm going to give them a piece. But yeah, lots coming up. I think me and you are on tomorrow, sort of midday-ish. So, you know, it'll be streamed on both. I know what you guys, you're so good at it. Do the love on both channels, and away we go.
Nice one, nice one. When you say everyone's got a piece of the pie, no one's asked me to do anything. I feel like I'm obviously like a bit of old mouldy pie that no one wants around Christmas time. Maybe I'm.
You don't bring the Christmas cheer like I do, Shawnee.
Obviously not. Really not. No one's asked me to do nothing. George, my man. Mate, when's the channel starting, bro? When's it starting?
So you know what, like you said, 2024. That's the aim. Start New Year resolution. That's just my number one resolution. The only resolution is get a channel started. So it'll be here. It'll be here.
All right, nice one, mate. Well, listen, I'm here to help, and I'd love to come on and join you on whenever you get going. Same with you, Deji, mate. Just send me the invite. I'll be there. Dave. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow at 12 o'clock on this channel. We're starting a new show, guys. It's called 10 Minute Tottenham. It's not just a 10-minute show, but we're doing like 4 10-minute debates, 3 minutes each, and then a little bit of rebuttals. It should be quite spicy, hopefully. Guys, stay where you are. I'm going to send you right over now to Never a Foul, where you can go and watch some people ranting and raving about what happened between Manchester United and Liverpool today. Should be a good one. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Sunday night. We'll see you tomorrow at 12. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.